I'm 73 years old. I live in a one-bedroom apartment in Tucson that smells like dust and old carpet. And every month, when that Social Security check hits my account, $3,120 the maximum, I feel nothing but rage, not gratitude, not relief. Rage. Because I waited. I did everything they told me to do. I delayed claiming until 70 to get that extra 32% boost. I sacrificed years I can never get back. And now I'm sitting here with more money than I need and a body that can barely use it. My name is Robert Chen. I was a civil engineer for the Port Authority in New Jersey for 34 years. I designed support systems for bridges. I was good at calculations, at planning, at looking ahead. I thought I had retirement figured out the same way I figured out load-bearing stress. I thought wrong. The thing about bridges is that they're built to last. You calculate the weight, the wind resistance, the temperature fluctuations. You plan for 100 years. You build in redundancy, safety factors, backup systems. I applied that same thinking to retirement. I built in buffers. I delayed gratification. I optimized every variable. But I forgot the most important one. Time itself corrodes faster than steel. The watch on my wrist is a Seiko my father gave me when I graduated college in 1974. It still keeps time. I look at it constantly now, not to check the hour, but to count what's left. Every tick is a second I can't buy back. My father was an immigrant from Taiwan. He came to America with $200 and an engineering degree that nobody here recognized. He worked as a dishwasher, then a line cook, then finally as a machinist. He never complained. He saved everything. He died at 68, 2 months after his retirement party. Before he could take the trip back to Taipei, he'd been planning for 30 years. I remember thinking at his funeral, he waited too long. And then I did the exact same thing. I retired at 62. Not because I wanted to, but because my knees were shot and the stairs at the Port Authority felt like climbing a mountain twice a day. My pension was modest, about $1,800 a month, but my financial advisor said, "Don't touch Social Security yet. Wait until 70. You'll get the max." His name was Derek, mid-40s, expensive suit, confident handshake. He had charts. He had projections. He showed me the break-even analysis. If I lived past 82, delaying would pay off. I'd collect hundreds of thousands more over my lifetime. "You're healthy," he said. "Your mum lived to 91. You've got good genes." This is a no-brainer. So I waited. I had some savings, not a lot. Maybe 120,000 in a 401k and another 40 in a taxable account. My house in Montclair was paid off. My wife Linda had passed 3 years earlier from ovarian cancer, and honestly part of me was still just trying to figure out how to live alone. The plan was simple. Live off the pension and savings until 70, then coast on that big Social Security check for the rest of my life. The math worked. On paper anyway. What nobody told me, what no calculator or retirement seminar ever mentioned, was that the body doesn't wait for your financial strategy to mature. At 62, I felt okay. Not great, but okay. I had some arthritis in my hands. My knees hurt when it rained, but I could still drive, still shop, still maintain the house. I had plans. Small ones, but real. I wanted to visit my cousin in Kaohsiung. I wanted to take a woodworking class at the community college. I wanted to maybe eventually start dating again. Linda had made me promise I wouldn't stay alone forever. I figured I had time. At 63, I started a vegetable garden in the backyard. Tomatoes, peppers, zucchini. It felt good to work with my hands, to watch something grow. I'd go out every morning with my coffee and check on the plants. That spring was the last time I felt young. At 64, I started feeling off, tired all the time, shortness of breath when I walked to the mailbox. I figured it was age. I figured it was grief. It wasn't. The cardiologist in Montclair sat me down in his office, one of those places with certificates on the wall and a little model of a heart on the desk, and said, "You have significant arterial blockage. We need to do a triple bypass." I remember staring at that plastic heart, the chambers, the valves, the tiny arteries painted red and blue. I thought about the bridges I'd worked on, how one weak beam could take the whole thing down. "When?" I asked. "As soon as possible." The surgery was scheduled for 3 weeks later. I spent those weeks getting my affairs in order, updating my will, organizing paperwork, calling my daughter in Seattle to tell her not to worry. But I was worried. Not about dying exactly. More about the money, The surgery cost me $11,000 out of pocket, even with Medicare. I had to pull it from my savings. Then there was rehab, physical therapy, medications, Plavix, Lipitor, Metoprolol. My monthly pill bottle lineup looked like a pharmacy shelf. The recovery was brutal. 6 weeks before I could drive, 3 months before I could lift anything heavier than a gallon of milk. The vegetable garden died. I didn't have the energy to maintain it. By 65, I'd burned through $30,000. I was recovering, but slowly. I couldn't drive for weeks. I couldn't lift anything. I couldn't do the things I'd planned to do in retirement: travel to Taiwan to see my cousin, hike the trails near Sedona, take a photography class. I was alive, but I wasn't living. That's when the doubt started creeping in. I'd lie awake at night doing the math in my head. If I claimed Social Security now at 65, I'd get about $2,600 a month. That was $2,000 less than if I waited until 70, but it was real money. Money I could use right now. I called Derek, my financial advisor. "I'm thinking about claiming early," I said. There was a pause. "Robert, we've been through this. The numbers are clear. You'd be leaving hundreds of thousands on the table. But what if nothing? Stick to the plan. You'll thank me when you're 85. I stuck to the plan. At 67, my right hip gave out. The orthopedic surgeon showed me the x-ray. Bone on bone, he said, like grinding glass. Another surgery, another recovery, another $15,000. I started using a cane. The cane was the worst part. Not the pain, not the surgery, the cane, because it made everything visible. At the grocery store, people would see me and their faces would change. Pity, concern, that look that says, "You're old now." I hated that look. I started thinking about the Social Security checks I wasn't claiming. All that money piling up in theory, compounding with delayed credits. I'd look at the SSA website and see my projected benefit, $3,120 at age 70, and feel proud like I'd beaten the system. But I couldn't walk without pain. I couldn't stand long enough to cook a real meal. I couldn't travel. I couldn't date, couldn't dance, couldn't do anything that required a body that worked. I was delaying gratification for a future I might not get to enjoy. And still, I waited, because the plan said wait, because I'd already invested so much time, because changing course felt like admitting failure. At 68, I had hernia surgery. Minor, they said. Outpatient procedure, but the recovery dragged on for weeks. I couldn't lift anything. I couldn't bend over. I couldn't garden, couldn't do yard work, couldn't maintain the house the way it needed to be maintained. The house in Montclair started to feel like a burden. 3 bedrooms for one person, a yard I couldn't keep up, stairs I could barely climb. Property taxes eating into my pension, I put it on the market. At 69, I developed cataracts in both eyes. Everything looked foggy, like I was seeing the world through frosted glass. The surgery was quick but expensive, another $8,000. By then, I'd sold the house. I'd netted about $340,000 after paying off the remaining closing costs and repairs. It should have felt like a windfall. Instead, it felt like surrender. I moved to Tucson because the cost of living was lower and the weather was easier on my joints. I bought that 1-bedroom apartment outright for $160,000. No mortgage, but no cushion either. I had about $12,000 left in the bank after the move, the medical bills, the new furniture. My 401k was down to $70,000. The pension kept coming, but it barely covered expenses. I was 69 years old, living in a city where I knew nobody, waiting for Social Security to finally kick in. 1 more year, I told myself. Just 1 more year, and everything will be worth it. By the time I turned 70 and finally filed for Social Security, I had $12,000 left in the bank and a body that felt 20 years older than the calendar said. That first check came in January 2022, $3,122. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at the deposit notification on my phone. I didn't feel victorious, I felt empty, because I'd done it. I'd achieved the goal, I'd maximized my benefit, and it meant nothing. Here's what they don't tell you about waiting until 70. The break-even point doesn't matter if you're not alive or not functional to enjoy it. The math says that if you live into your mid-80s, delaying pays off. You'll collect more total dollars over your lifetime. That's the argument. That's the chart they show you in the seminars. But life isn't a chart. I know people who claimed at 62 and used that money to travel while they still could. I know a guy from my old job, Eddie Morales, who took his wife to Italy, to Greece, to all the places they'd dreamed about. He claimed early and spent every dime doing what he loved. Eddie died at 71. Heart attack. But he died happy. I talked to Eddie about a year before he passed. We met for lunch at a diner in Jersey City. He looked good. Tan, relaxed, a little heavier, but in a healthy way. "You still waiting on Social Security?" he asked. "1 more year," I said. "Then I'll get the max." He shook his head. "Bobby, don't wait too long. Me and Maria, we're doing everything now. Next month we're going to Portugal. You only get 1 shot at this." "Yeah, but the extra income doesn't mean shit if you're too old to enjoy it." I didn't listen. I wish I had. I'm 73, and I'm still here. And I'm miserable. Not because of the apartment, not because of Tucson, not even because of the health problems. I'm miserable because I traded the best years of my retirement for money I don't need. The apartment is quiet most of the time. I watch a lot of TV, old westerns, cooking shows I'll never try. The news, which just makes me angry. I have more money now than I've had in years. Every month, that check comes. I pay my HOA fees, my utilities, my Medicare supplement, my prescriptions. I have about $2,200 left over. I could travel, technically, but I can't sit on a plane for more than 2 hours without my back seizing up. I can't walk through an airport without getting winded. I can't climb stairs to see a cathedral or hike a trail or do any of the things I delayed Social Security to afford. The money is there. The body is gone. Last year, I tried. I booked a trip to San Diego to visit my daughter. Just a long weekend, I thought, this is it. I have the money now. I can afford to fly, to take her to a nice restaurant, to be the dad who's not a burden. I made it one day. The flight wrecked me. By the time I got to her house, my back was in spasms. I spent the entire weekend on her couch, popping painkillers, apologizing. "Dad, it's okay," she kept saying, but I could see it in her eyes. Worry, sadness, the recognition that her father was old now, fragile, not the man who used to carry her on his shoulders. I flew home 2 days early. I haven't tried to travel since. I think about Linda a lot. She died at 61. We'd been married 38 years. We had plans, modest ones, a trip to see the Grand Canyon, maybe rent an RV and drive through the Southwest. We never did it. We kept saying, and when we retire, when we have time, and then time ran out. After she died, I told myself I'd do all those things for both of us. I'd wait, I'd be smart with money, and then I'd live. But here's the truth. You can't live later. You can only live now. And I wasted now waiting for later. Linda used to say, "Bobby, don't overthink everything. Sometimes you just have to jump." She was talking about small things, buying a nicer car, going out to dinner on a weeknight, taking a vacation without planning every detail. But she was also talking about life, and I never listened. I was always the planner, the engineer, the guy who needed everything mapped out. Linda would want to take a spontaneous road trip, and I'd pull out a spreadsheet. She'd laugh. "You're going to plan yourself into an early grave." She was wrong about the early part, but she was right about the grave. There's a financial concept they love to talk about in retirement planning: longevity risk, the risk of outliving your money. Nobody talks about the opposite risk, outliving your health. That's what happened to me. I protected my money so carefully that I destroyed my ability to use it. I delayed Social Security because I was afraid of running out. I was afraid of being 75 and broke. So I sacrificed 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. 8 years. 8 years I can't get back. 8 years when I could have walked without a cane, driven without fear, maybe even met someone new. Now I have the maximum benefit and a body that feels like a prison. Here's what I wish someone had told me. 1. The extra money from delaying doesn't mean anything if you can't enjoy it. There's no prize for dying with the most Social Security income. 2. Health declines faster than you think. You're not the same person at 70 that you were at 62. You might not even be close. I look at photos of myself from when I retired. 62. I look young in those pictures. My face is fuller. My posture is straighter. I'm smiling. I don't smile much anymore. 3. The break-even analysis is garbage. It assumes you live an average lifespan in average health. Most of us don't. We get sick. We slow down. We lose mobility, energy, independence. The break-even age for me was 82. That's when I'd have collected the same total amount, whether I claimed at 62 or 70. I'll probably make it to 82, maybe longer. But what's the point? I'll have more money in the bank and nothing to do with it for. Claiming early isn't leaving money on the table. It's buying time, real time. Time when you can still move, still enjoy, still live. If I'd claimed at 62, I'd have gotten about $2,400 a month. Not as much, but enough. And I'd have had 8 more years of functional life. 8 years when I could have traveled, when I could have dated, when I could have built the woodshop I always wanted, taken that class, visited Taiwan, spent real time with my daughter before she saw me as a burden. 5. Nobody on their deathbed wishes they'd waited longer to claim Social Security. I see people online, financial influencers, bloggers, advisors, telling everyone to delay. Max out your benefit. Wait until 70. They show the numbers, they show the charts, and I want to scream. Because they're not accounting for the cost you can't see on a spreadsheet. I gave up 8 years of freedom for an extra $600 a month. That's what the delay got me. I went from about $3,000 at 62 to $3,800 at 70. Was it worth it? Not even close, not even a little bit. There's a park near my apartment. I go there sometimes and sit on a bench. I watch families, young couples with strollers, middle-aged people jogging, older folks walking dogs. And I think about the life I could have lived. If I'd claimed at 62, I'd have had enough money. Not a lot, but enough. I could have stayed in Jersey. I could have kept the house. I could have traveled modestly. Not 5-star hotels, but real trips, real experiences. I could have lived. Instead, I optimized, and optimization killed me. Last week, I got a letter in the mail from my old colleague Eddie's widow. She's moving to Florida to be near her daughter. She's selling their house. She said Eddie used to talk about me, about how I was always so disciplined, so careful with money. She said he admired that. I wanted to write back and tell her the truth. Eddie was the smart one. He lived. I just calculated. But I didn't write back. What's the point? Eddie's gone. Linda's gone. My father's gone. I'm still here, with my maximum benefit and my empty apartment and my father's watch ticking away the seconds. I still look at that watch every day. The second hand moves steady, precise. Time doesn't wait for you to be ready. It doesn't wait for your portfolio to grow or your Social Security to max out. It just moves. And once it's gone, you can't rewind it. You can't buy it back, no matter how big your check is. Sometimes I think about what I'd say to my 62-year-old self if I could go back. I'd say, claim it. Claim it now. Take the money and live. Go to Taiwan. Build the woodshop. Take the photography class. Ask that woman from church out to dinner. Do it all while you still can. The extra income doesn't matter, the years do. But I can't go back. I can only sit here, 73 years old, with my maximum benefit and my regrets. I waited until 70, and I regret it every single day. If you're reading this, if you're sitting there at 62 or 65 trying to decide whether to claim or wait, let me tell you something. Run the numbers, sure, but also run a different calculation. Ask yourself, what can I do today that I might not be able to do in 5 years? What trips, what hobbies, what time with people I love am I giving up by waiting? Ask yourself, am I optimizing for money or for life? Because here's the thing they won't tell you in the seminars. You can always make more money. You can't make more time. There's a scene I keep replaying in my head. It's from 10 years ago. I'm 63. I'm in my backyard in Montclair. The tomatoes are coming in. It's late June, warm, the kind of evening where the light turns gold. Linda's been gone a year. I'm still figuring out how to be alone. My neighbor Joe waves from his deck. Bobby, come have a beer. I almost say yes, but then I think about my budget, about my plan, about how I need to conserve resources until 70. Next time, I yell back. There was no next time. Joe moved to Florida the next year. I never saw him again. That beer would have cost me $4. I saved $4. And I lost a friendship. That's the trade I made over and over and over. Small moments for future security, life for math. I'm 73. I get the maximum Social Security benefit. I live alone in an apartment that's quiet and clean and utterly joyless. And every month when that check deposits, I sit at my kitchen table and stare at my father's watch. And I think about all the seconds I traded for dollars. And I wonder if I'll ever forgive myself. The answer is no. I won't. Because I can't. Because forgiveness doesn't give me back what I lost. So if you're out there trying to decide, don't wait for the perfect number. Don't optimize yourself into oblivion. Don't be like me. Live now, while you still can. The clock is ticking, and it doesn't care about your break-even analysis.